Happy Saturday. Hope you guys will be joining me soon. Happy Saturday. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, jump on in. Let's talk about some weight loss tips that we should probably start ignoring as opposed to following. So that's what we're going to chat about today. Sharon, hello. So last week you said you had a birthday, I think it was. You were going to do a drive-by in Elmira. Morning, Bev. Jump on in, say hi if you're jumping in, please. I think I'm in the right group this time. I think I'm on the right page. Oh, Bev, you were joining me last week on my page. Thank you so much. So, morning, ladies. Great to see you both. It's a gorgeous day out there. I've already walked the dog. It's absolutely crystal blue sky. It's beautiful. So we're hopefully trying to get some gardening done today. So we'll see what happens. So we're going to talk about some weight loss tips today. So I'm just going to turn the music off so we can get chatting. So I'm going to get started in a couple of minutes, but happy 1st of May. Can you believe we're already in the 5th month of 2021? It's just mind-blowing how quickly the time goes. I think it's worse when the kids get older because it just seems to me that when they're not in school, time just sort of journeys along really nicely, but as soon as school hits, it seems like time just flies. Hey, Penny, morning. You've been on my mind this week. We need to chat soon, catch up. It's been a busy week. It's been a really busy week. So the kids have moved into their full-time summer jobs, and I'm down one for the summer, which is really strange. It'll be the first time I don't have both home for the summer. So it's all part of them growing up, right? Sharon saying morning, Penny. So thanks, ladies, for jumping on wherever you are today. If you are here, please say hi and let me know you're here. Let me know where you're coming from. I always love to know. Morning, Sherry. Thanks for jumping on. We're going to be talking about some weight loss tips that we really should probably start ignoring. You guys are so cute. You probably don't know. Hey, Sherry, lovely to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Penny and Sharon are mom and daughter, and they're saying hi to each other in the chat. It's really cute. So thanks, ladies, for joining me. I'm really happy to see you all. So yeah, let's dive in because I don't want to take up a lot of your time. It shouldn't be super long, but as always, remember that this video will be inside the group, and then I also am going to put it into the guide section, and it'll be under, I think it's weight management nutrition. So this live will go tucked up in there, but you will see it on the feed for those of you. And if you are watching, please, after the live, or if you're watching it later, please let me know if you're watching it via replay, and then I can gauge sort of how the timing goes. So we're going to continue to do these lives every Saturday. As we move closer to the summer, I'm probably going to do them a little bit less frequent because I know everyone's going to get so busy, and hopefully we will be out of lockdown and stay out of lockdown. And I know the ladies of you that are ladies who are in the UK, I think you guys are out of it now, so jealous. Hopefully we won't be too far behind you. And as the summer comes, I know a lot of us are going to be really busy on the Saturdays. So we'll see how we do and what the needs are of the community, but don't hesitate to let me know what works for you. So 8 weight loss tips you should ignore. So when I say ignore, what I'm really saying is I want you to start thinking about the tips and how they impact you personally. When I have been, as I've been journeying through perimenopause, I'm now in menopause, hot flashes, irritability, rages, mood swings, brain fog, gosh, like even my skin, my eyes, so many things I struggled with, but a lot of those things were something that I was sort of chasing, but was able to eventually find resolutions for through a lot of effort. I went back to school to become a holistic nutritionist so I could really deep dive into what's going on with my body and really understand. So I was able to really begin to resolve a lot of those symptoms that I struggle with, but weight and the weight that I gained when I started through perimenopause has plagued me ever since. So I had been the same weight up until I was about 42, 44. And then over about probably 15 to 18 months, I gained about 30 pounds progressively. And it was distributed in the worst possible place, right around my middle. And I was bloating. I had a lot of water retention, as well as the actual physical weight, the fat that came on my body, really caused me an incredible amount of distress and anxiety. And it was something that I became very obsessed with. And so weight has always been a challenge for me. And it has taken a lot of mental work to really begin to understand what my body is doing, why it's doing it, and to start to really love and accept it the way that it is. I can always continue to work on it and make it better, healthier, fitter. But I really had to start to work hard to understand how to love my body differently now, because it is different, right? As I'm in my 50s, it doesn't look like it was when I was in my 20s. So the vanity creeps in, and you really have to reconcile that inside of your body. So one of the biggest journeys that I made was really trying to get off that diet roundabout. Always trying something new, always trying a new program, always restricting my calories, always exercising more. It was exhausting. So when I say weight loss tips to ignore, what I'm really saying is be aware of these weight loss tips and recognize what may or may not be working for your body. And that's what really sort of cracked open that epiphany for me, when I really started to understand what my body needed. Instead of following other sort of one size fits all type of program, I really started to hone in on what my body needed, and really focusing on hormone balancing foods, really good quality nutrition, and understanding when my body needed the nutrition and how often it needed to eat. How many calories went out the window. That became so unimportant. It really became more about trying to balance my day and eating to my needs. And we talked a little bit back a few weeks ago about intuitive eating, and this really played a major part in some of the changes. And so although I'm not at the weight that I still want to be, it's still a work in progress, the weight has shifted. I don't have that big bloated tummy that I used to have. The fat has distributed differently, so it makes me feel more comfortable in my body. And it makes me feel that what I'm doing with my body, how I'm eating, how I'm exercising, how I'm living my life, is starting to really positively impact my awareness and my body perspective of my body image. So I think that's what's most important here. In my Cracking the Menopause Code program, we don't focus on weight loss. We don't focus on cutting calories. I'm not working with that kind of approach. What I'm working on really is about healing the root cause, and that's hormone imbalance. And then from that, you start to maintain a better weight management naturally. And it should be more about how you're eating, how you're living your life, as opposed to restricting and depriving. So, sorry, a bit of a tangent there, but I wanted to give you a bit of a background as to why weight loss and weight management is sort of a personal passion for me, because it has been a burden through a lot of my adult life. I have been a slave to the diets, and I really don't want to do that and encourage that for anyone else. So let's start with the first tip. Always eat breakfast. How many of you have heard that you have to eat breakfast? It's important. It's the most important meal of the day. You should get up within 1 to 2 hours even, I've heard, eat breakfast. And how many have you heard about that? And how many of you actually eat breakfast? So when we look at breakfast now, it is such a broad window of breakfast time. Some people get up at 5 a.m. Some people get up at 9 a.m. So yeah, thanks, Bev. So when you are being asked to eat breakfast, that's a huge window of time that you're required to eat. And if you're doing shift work, or if you are an early riser, thanks, Sharon. Yeah, absolutely. Breakfast is definitely the most important meal of the day, is what we've been told. But I don't know many women who want to get up at 5 a.m., and start eating breakfast. And then what does breakfast look like? Is that eggs and bacon? Is that an apple as you run out of the door? Is that oatmeal with toast? Like, what does breakfast look like? So the biggest question why we're sort of pushing back on always eating breakfast is that it's supposed to boost your metabolism. That's what they say. You eat right out of the gate, it boosts your metabolism for the day, and you've had that whole fasting period over the night time, and so you need to break the fast. That's why it's called breakfast. Now, somebody told me recently, it was very interesting. I was actually talking to a doctor, and he said that he's never been a proponent for breakfast eating because it has been driven by the breakfast food marketing. So what better way to get you to eat their cereal, their breakfast foods, whatever it is, than to tell people that they need to eat breakfast. So it was a really interesting spin because I thought, you know what? All those breakfast foods tend to be processed, high carb, high sugar. And so it's not necessarily the most nutritious choice out of the day is to go with packaged breakfast foods. So studies have really actually shown that skipping breakfast, which I don't like to use because you're not skipping something if you don't want to eat, it actually has very little effect on your weight management. And so it's always been sort of that myth that if you miss breakfast, that you will eat more throughout the day to catch up for the meal that you missed. And that doesn't necessarily hold true. In the studies, they're actually showing that regardless of whether you eat breakfast or not, and you just eat mid-morning, perhaps a lunch and a dinner, then your cumulative calories turn out to be quite clearly. What do you mean, Penny? Clearly. She's like, clearly with happy faces, probably because I don't eat breakfast. Maybe that's what she's saying. So it doesn't usually mean less or more calories that are being accumulated for the day. So this is where I wanted to come back to intuitive eating. Take a look at your body. Where are you first thing in the morning? What is it that you want? Maybe you just want to grab that cup of tea, or maybe you want to grab that coffee. Oh, Penny. Hey, that's not necessarily true. She says, I eat breakfast, and she doesn't have like her weight. She's not happy with her weight. So it's really just a matter of if you eat breakfast and if you don't eat breakfast, the bottom line is it's not impacting your caloric intake. So I think the message here is that if you eat breakfast, it doesn't mean it's bad. But if you don't eat at breakfast, it doesn't mean it's bad either. So it's really about, are you intermittent fasting? The intermittent fasting concept is variable. I tend to intermittent fast because I'm not a breakfast eater. I ate breakfast for the longest time because I felt that I was supposed to. And it actually did create an overeating pattern for me because I just was so hungry. It seemed to trigger this hunger, and I was chasing that hunger all day. And I found that when I didn't eat breakfast, it was more distributed. My hunger was more appropriately distributed. So that's why it comes back to where you are truly listening to your body and the intuitive eating. You get up. If you're hungry, eat. If you're not, then leave it for a little bit. If you go out the door without breakfast and you normally eat breakfast, you are really potentially impacting your energy, your glucose levels. So this is why it's really important to listen to your body. If you intermittent fast, I tend to intermittent fast, and I do a 16-8. So I tend to fast for 16 hours and then I eat within an 8-hour period. That I have found really works for my body. It's been really positive. So, Bev, you're saying always eat breakfast, quit the game a while ago, eat when I need. Yeah. Sherry, I don't eat in the morning until I'm hungry. Oh, sorry, your comment scooped. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah. So, Bev, always eat breakfast, quit that game a while ago, eat when I feel it. Awesome. Yeah. I don't eat in the morning until I'm hungry. Always try to have protein. Yep. And I think it's important to eat when you're hungry. It's what and how much you eat. Absolutely, Patty. You've hit the nail on the head, and we're going to jump into a little bit of that too. So that's awesome. I'm really glad that you guys are already not buying into the myth of eating breakfast. If you're not hungry, don't eat. If you are, eat. And Sherry, you brought up a really good point. What you do eat is important. And Patty, you said the same thing. If you're hungry, then choose a protein breakfast. So that's going to keep you more satisfied. It's going to keep you satisfied longer. And so even fiber, if you have like a low glycemic index fruit, like maybe strawberries with a boiled egg in the morning, or when you're hungry, that's going to really just extend that fullness in your body. You're not going to overeat at lunch. Penny, I don't eat till I'm hungry either, but it's mostly fruit, yogurt. Awesome. Oatmeal, so you've got your fiber, proteins in your yogurt, so you're eating exactly what you should be at the time frame that works for you, and you're not going to be hungry and overeat at lunch. So it gives you that expansion there that you need, right? So you're not eating on top of the time frames. You're not overeating. Yeah, and unless you go out, and of course, it's true. When you go out, most of us probably tend to do brunch. And then it's something that we eat a little bit differently when we're eating out. But we don't typically go out at 6 a.m. and eat breakfast, not typically. So it's really just, even when we do go out, we tend to eat brunch, which is probably when a lot of women do tend to eat around 9, 10 a.m., depending on their schedule, depending on their work life too, right? You may get up and be at work at 7 and your first break is at 9:30. That's your perfect time to start to eat, and that works for you. What's the intermittent schedule you use? Yeah, I do 16-8, which means that I tend to stop eating around 6 p.m. and then I don't have my first meal until 10. And I tend to just eat fruit or protein for my first meal at 10. And then I eat between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And I usually have about probably 2 meals. My breakfast and my dinner are my 2 main meals, and then I will have some fruit and protein anchored at around 10 and around 2:33. So it just works. I actually have to set an alarm for eating because I get so distracted. My biggest challenge has always been not eating enough. I don't eat enough, so my metabolism has really become sluggish. So I have to be really cognizant of what I eat. Personally, I'm of the mindset that I would just love to take a pill and it has all my nutrients in it and it makes me feel full and I don't have to eat anything till the next time. So my relationship with food is not as good as it should be. So it's been an ongoing journey and work in progress over the last, probably since I became a nutritionist about 5 years ago, or sorry, how long have I been a nutritionist? 2-3 years? So it's been like since I've been struggling through perimenopause that I really have to work on my nutrition and the amount of food that I continue to eat. Yeah, see, we forget, right? Bev is saying she forgets lunch. So it's something that we can go a long time without eating. So we're going to talk about it on another tip, is how often we should eat. So that's the first tip. Always eat breakfast is a myth. It's about what you eat, when you eat, and what works for you. So keep that in mind. So if you're eating breakfast and you're eating it because you think you have to and you don't really enjoy it, then it's time to reconsider that option. So here's the other tip that they say you should be doing, which I recommend that you reevaluate, and that is weigh yourself every day. Weigh yourself every day. You got to weigh yourself every day because that's how you can stay on track. That's how you know how your body's doing, and that's going to keep you motivated to lose the weight. Who weighs themselves every day? Who weighs themselves weekly, monthly? Who weighs themselves at all? Do you even see the scale? So the biggest challenge, never, with a big thumbs down. So why don't you weigh yourself, Bev? Why? What's the motivation why you never weigh yourself? Sorry, just having my tea. So the biggest issue, never. Awesome. Okay, so if you're not weighing yourself or you rarely weigh yourself, please let me know why. What's your thought process around why you don't? Oh, wow. So Sherry, no way, never say. So yeah, share with me why you're not weighing yourself. Are you not weighing yourself because it's like, doesn't matter? Are you not weighing yourself because you're petrified of the number? So you don't, Bev saying don't want to see the number. So you're a little shy about the number. So Sherry, you do it monthly. Okay, awesome. So the way that how often you're actually measuring or weighing yourself, let me know what your thought is around the time frame that you're using to weigh yourself. Like, why do you only weigh yourself a certain time? Penny you crack me up. Okay, so you gauge it by your clothes and how they're fitting. Absolutely. Yeah, Sherry, you're saying the same thing. Gauge by how my clothes fit. Penny would kill herself if she checked the weight. I don't think so. Patty, I used to every day, but became obsessed with the numbers. Now I pick a pair of pants and judge from that. And Sherry, you weigh monthly, I think you said, because you like to keep yourself on track. Awesome. So yeah, one of the biggest challenges with weighing yourself every single day is literally one of two things. It can be a super motivator or it can be a complete derailer. When you see that number and you're looking at it and you're going, oh, this is great. Today I'm here. You get on it the next day. Oh, awesome. I'm here now. Oh, look at this. Now I'm down another 2 pounds and you're doing great. And then all of a sudden you're up 3 pounds and you're like, whoa, what happened there? Literally nothing changed. Why have I just gained 3 pounds? Let me tell you, ladies, this became a very unhealthy obsession with me. I was on another program of many that I have done over the years, and it was Weigh Yourself Every Day. It said, and I had to write the numbers down. It was so demotivating, so negative in my head, because the way my brain works, I would beat myself up. I would reduce the calories and I would over exercise and I'd get on the scale the next day and I would be up another pound and I would do it again. I would lower the calories, over exercise, and get up on the scale the next day and I was down 3 pounds. I was like, yes, this is what's working. And I would go through this horrible mouse trap, or like just being on this mouse wheel of in this negative toxic zone of eat less, exercise more, get on the scale. You did great today. Okay, I'm rewarded. I eat less, exercise more. I get on the scale again. I gain. And it was like a total mind mess in my head. It's like, I have no idea now how the hell I am, like, what's going on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It was a mess. And of course, the whole time I'm messing up my metabolism. I'm creating incredible stress in my body. My cortisol is rising and I'm draining my adrenals. And it's just this horrible catch-22 of toxicity. So for me, weighing myself every day is an absolute no-go area. The biggest challenge with weighing yourself every day is that your weight can radically change due to so many factors. So if you weigh yourself if you avoid doing that, it can really be a positive or it can be a negative. It depends on how you function with your weight. And so we do know, though, that through our studies and through things that we're checking with people who weigh every day and people who don't, has zero impact on your ability to lose weight. And that's why when they say weigh yourself every day, you need to really take a look and go, okay, well, what is that going to look like for me? For me, it created a lot of frustration and anxiety. It could really be the same for you. If you're not seeing the scale go the way that you want it to go, it can really create some anxiety, some derailment, and some, I'm done. Like, what else can I do? Look at the numbers. They tell the truth. And they actually don't tell the truth. So if you do decide to weigh yourself every day, just make sure that you understand that there are so many changes that go on in your body on a daily basis that number will definitely reflect it. There's hormonal changes, whether you're still having your period. There were times, ladies, where I would get on the scale on Monday and I was this weight. 2 days later, 7 pounds up. It would just freak me right out and cause me to do very drastic reactions to that. So it wasn't healthy for me. There's also issues around your fluid balance, what you ate the day before, how you slept. Was there a stressful event? So many things will impact the balance in your body. Like I said, hormone changes, fluid balance, even your bowel movements. Have you been constipated? Have you had diarrhea? So it's really important for you to recognize that that number is like a super hyper acute assessment of what's going on in your body, and it doesn't reflect the true fat loss. And that's the biggest challenge, because when we see 7 pounds, that's probably fluid. It's probably retention from either your period, from a poor sleep for the last few nights. You've been maybe having a stressful event. Maybe you had Chinese the night before or over the weekend, or maybe you went out for that, big, wonderful breakfast that you're allowed to have once in a while. Now you're suffering from that fluid retention due to the additives, the salt, MSG, whatever it might be in that food. But we immediately think, oh my God, I'm like 7 pounds fatter. And so it can really mess with the mind. Yeah, Sherry, you have the same mindset in your gym days. If I went after being so careful with what I was eating, it was discouraging. Yeah, it becomes a disorder. I definitely have had an eating disorder. There's no question, because everything that went in my mouth, I scrutinized. I would measure, I would weigh. It's obsessive and it's extremely exhausting. And for me, weighing myself just fed into that negative behavior. Sherry, I don't get anxious about my weight. I know my body and it's changing. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's okay, right? Like, we're meant to change. We're not meant to be the way we are. And that's great. Like, our bodies are changing because they're a reflection of us maturing and aging. And that's such a privilege to be able to age. So I wanted to make sure you guys were comfortable with the whole weigh yourself. So that's great. Sounds like a lot of you ladies are not doing that, which is awesome, on a regular basis. But weigh yourself with what works for you. Now for me, when I am deciding to do something, or especially with the intuitive eating I'm doing right now, and I'm doing some intermittent fasting, I'm probably weighing myself every 1 or 2 weeks, just checking in. But I do the clothes test, but to be honest, right now, I'm pretty much living in yoga wear. So those elastic waists are a little forgiving. So it's not as true, but we all know our bodies so well. So we know what nuances to look for. So tip number 3, everybody, let's do a juice cleanse. So a juice cleanse is a fabulous way to lose weight. False. So this is what I do really want you to ignore. Juice cleanses claim that you can be, they're very popular, and they claim up to 10 pounds, for example. You can lose up to 10 pounds in a week and detox your body at the same time. Get rid of all those toxins that are in your body. I'm not okay with it, Sherry. Yeah, it really does become, Sherry's saying, she's not okay with just, the body changing. It's hard. Our vanity is a dominant lady. She really does take over our brains, and a lot of us need to have that connection back to the body we used to have. And I get it. As long as it's not creating negative self behavior, I think that's and Sherry, I know for you understand that it's really just about recognizing that we want to be as healthy as we can be, as fit as we can be, but potentially having to accept a little more than we would like to, for sure. Bev raised a really good point. She doesn't cleanse, the body cleanses itself. 100%. Very little research is backing up these juice cleanses or these powder cleanses or pill supplement cleanses. There's very little evidence to support that these are beneficial, and they can actually potentially be harmful. They can really fluctuate your blood glucose levels, and it can really begin to stress the body. So we just don't know what's in these products. Anything that restricts your calories really severely is not going to, it's anti-intuitive, right? And it's not going to provide long-term benefits. And you're certainly not going to get long-lasting results from that weight loss. Yeah, Bev, that's a really good point. You don't know many women who look like they did years ago. Yeah. And just be healthy. Do you remember the way, it's just popped into my head. You know, when we were all in the ages when we were all having our children, and people would say, hey, are you having a boy or a girl? And most of us would go, doesn't matter as long as it's healthy. And I think that really brings up the same idea, right? Yeah, we're going to have a little sag here. I'm not happy with my neck, or, you've got crow's feet, or whatever that scenario is. health is it's a commodity that we can never ever let go of. And what is going on inside of this package is so much more important, because the body is the only one we have, right? And regardless of, as long as we're eating healthy, as long as we are trying to avoid overindulging in alcohol, hopefully we're not smoking, hopefully we're not overdoing it on the caffeine, hopefully we're not overdoing it on the processed foods, that's going to reflect in our skin and in our hair and in our body. And I think as long as we continue to do this, the body's going to function at its highest level that it can. So that's what's so important. And you know, those packages, as pretty as they are, they all fade in time too. So all those young girls that look amazing, you're going to be where we are now, right? We were there, we're here, and it's a journey. And it is all very much mindset. There's a point where you just have to start telling yourself you're beautiful, you're amazing. Look at what our bodies have accomplished, especially for those of us who have had children. What a miracle we are. And gosh, like, it's just inspiring and incredible what the female body can accomplish. And even going through menopause, it's like turning the Titanic hormonally, menopause. Like our bodies, like you think about what our bodies did for those of us who gave birth. Mind-blowing. It's doing the same thing now for us. It's turning the Titanic into a new phase of our lives. And we need to love it. We need to honor it. So yeah, juice cleanse. They tend to be high in sugar, low in protein. They're giving us sort of that, in order to keep the energy up when you want a juice cleanse, it's packed with sugar, which is a cheap energy bill. It's a crappy way to get your energy. So it's not something that I recommend. And even any weight loss that you do get from it, it's probably just the water loss. Water retention in our bodies is quite significant. So we could lose up to those 10 pounds potentially, but it's just water. It's not fat. And so that weight will begin to return. So have any of you done a juice cleanse in the day? Like they used to be super popular. So I don't know if any of you have done a juice cleanse. I have, because I've done everything. And yeah, it's a great short-term fix, but you know, you don't feel great. And like Bev has already mentioned, our bodies are designed to self-filter. And as long as we are keeping our livers healthy and clean as best as we can, we talked about that a little bit back a while ago with our estrogen dominance live. We need to keep our liver healthy, and so that we can help filter all the toxins out of our body. That's what our liver and our kidneys are designed to do. Okay, so number 4, here's a good one. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Don't lose weight too quickly. So you've been told don't lose weight too quickly. So if you're losing 5-6 pounds the first week, and then, you know, potentially, you know how they say you can lose 25 pounds in 3 months, and then they say don't lose quickly. Actually, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So this one was a bit of a surprise for me, because we've always heard go slow in order to maintain our weight loss. And if we lose our weight too quickly, then we gain it back just as quickly, and sometimes even gain back more. So actually recent research is showing that the faster we lose the weight at the beginning, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to increase the chance of weight regain. So it's important to remember that the technique that you're using is really in the weight loss effort. And as long as you're not drastically cutting your calories, and you're not doing it inefficiently, you're doing it nutritionally, and you're doing it with balance, your body's going to do what it's going to do. So typically, if you have significant weight to lose, then you're going to lose that weight a little quicker than somebody who needs to lose maybe 5 or 10 pounds. And we know that when we have, say, upwards of 30 to 50 pounds that we need to lose, we're likely going to lose those first 10, 15 pounds quite quickly, because it's water, it's excess toxins. Those things are being flushed from our bodies when we start to eat clean. We start to cut out those types of foods that were not really benefiting us, and we're changing our portion control. Perhaps we're increasing our movement. Those things will always definitely impact our health and our weight, and you will likely see that weight loss a little quicker. And we know that when we get closer to our goal weight, it becomes harder to lose that last 5-10 pounds. And so there are definitely no evidence that says that you need to lose weight slowly in order to keep it off. And that you just need to make sure that once you get to your target weight, that you don't suddenly start to restrict your calories or do something extreme to get those last 5 or 10 pounds down. So yeah, Sherry, you're saying, I've always heard 1 to 2 pounds a week is healthy. So it's true. We've been sort of coaxed into believing that if you burn 1 to 2 pounds a week and you need to lose 20 pounds, then you're probably going to lose that 20 pounds in about 2 to 3 months. But somebody who has a lot more weight to lose could lose that 20 pounds in a lot less time. And now research is showing that it doesn't mean that they're going to automatically regain it. As long as you lose that weight properly with the right system that your body is able to maintain, then the rapidness of that weight loss has no effect on whether or not you'll regain it. So that one was interesting to me when I was doing some research for this live, that I always thought 1 to 2 pounds, that's great. But it's not about the frequency of the weight loss or how much you can lose. It's about how you're losing the weight. That's the important difference. So I hope that's clear. Number 5, focus on cardio. Yep. You know, what was it? What was it? No pain, no gain, right? We got to work hard on that cardio. Run, run, run. Do the step classes. Do the high intensity workouts, because cardio is what's going to burn that fat. So really want you to ignore this one, especially in menopause, because focusing on cardio is definitely excellent. Not to say that you're not to move. I'm just saying that you really need to recognize your stress levels and how your body is responding to high cardio workouts. Now, cardio is important, like I say, because you do need it. It's great for cardiovascular health. But from a weight loss tactic, I guess, that is going while we're going through menopause, definitely not something that's going to be your best option. I have always been able to do high intensity workouts. I used to run. I used to do like big major HIIT workouts, boot camps. No problem. My body really responded to it and worked really well. And then as soon as I started through perimenopause, I have never seen my body push back as hard as when I started running or continued my running, and I actually was moving into a next level of running. It was not having it. And it took me about 3 years to figure it out that it's the cardio that's causing me so much problem. I had so much bloating. I gained a lot of weight through heavy cardio. I also had extreme adrenal fatigue. My cortisol levels had spiked. My insulin sensitivity had really been impacted because I was over-exercising. And of course, the more weight I was gaining, the harder I was exercising. So it really becomes a self-evaluation. How is your body feeling when you're doing a high-intensity cardio? Are you struggling with fatigue? Are you feeling drained? Are you feeling nauseous, or are you like ravenous with hunger? Like really be in tune with how your body's responding to it. You may be able to continue that. A lot of women can still do high intensity cardio throughout menopause, and a lot of women can. So it really becomes about what your body is responding to. And for me, I still do a lot of cardio, but it's converted into weight training, strength training. I can get my heart rate up through strength training. I can get my heart rate up walking, swimming, Pilates, bar, those types of exercises. I can get my heart rate up, and still that is cardio, and it's improving my cardiovascular health. But I'm not doing those big boot camp, drop and do those burpees and mountain climbers and running in the spot. Just can't do it. So it really can lead to chronic stress in your body. So it's really, again, about if you want to get fit and toned, then definitely incorporate a cardio choice that can get your heart rate up, but that your body still responds to. And then, of course, from an osteoporosis perspective, we really want to keep our bones strong. So our strength training is really important. Patty, you did a liquid cleanse detox, but included whole foods, some fruit, and mainly veggies and protein powders, smoothies, soups. It was good. Felt great. I had to learn I had to eat more to lose weight. Eating at a calorie deficit for too long does damage to your body. Yeah, and you know what? How long was that, Patty? Because it looks like this would be a positive detox, and it would be something you would do periodically. It's hard to sustain that kind of system, I guess, because you really you're missing some carbs in there too, and so for a short term, like a 2-week window, is great. And you do it every few months is great. To keep it at that pace for long term could be difficult to maintain. So I'm just curious if that was sort of a short-term thing for you. And so that was great. It was 3 a day. And did you, how long were you on that for? Was it is it indefinitely? Or is it something that you just do periodically? Bev, I wish we could do a targeted weight loss for specific areas. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? But you know what? In some cases you can. So it's also about 3 days. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. 3 days is fantastic. I would even recommend something like that up to 7 to 10 days, because it sounds like you're getting your protein, your vegetables. It's really just a way to cleanse a little bit, to give your gut a bit of a break, because we do tend to eat variable, and we can't completely stay away from alcohol and caffeine and sugar and processed foods. I mean, it's just part of our lifestyle. We can certainly work hard to avoid a lot of it, but it's not something that we can realistically sustain for a lot of us. And so that's why I don't have a problem with something like that. When you've got protein powders and smoothies and soups and vegetables and fruits, you're getting a lot of amazing nutritional support there. That's why it's definitely great just to kind of give your gut a bit of a break from all the other stuff. Living on the farm is my exercise. Yeah, 40 minutes with dogs. My heart rate seems to be up all day. It's fantastic, right? If you can get your movement in organically, that's ideal. There's nothing worse than having to go, oh my God, I have to exercise. I've got to work out. But just by being active, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking your car a little bit further to walk to the mall, just to give yourself those few extra steps can really impact in a lot of positive ways. So what was I think I'm good. I think I finished my thought there. Yeah, it's awesome. I think that's fantastic. She's got an amazing property. So it's so incredible that you are able to incorporate that into your day. Okay, so lower the fats. Number 6, get those fats down. Let's go completely low fat, everybody. All fats are bad. Huge myth. This one I'm passionate about, because not all fats are bad for your health. And the reason I'm passionate about it is because I bought into that myth, hook, line, and sinker. Everything was low fat. The lower the fat, the better. I went 0. If it could have been negative 15% fat, I would have bought it. No, because it was when I was going through my nutritionist training that I discovered how important fats really are. And we hear a lot about how bad fat is for us and how we should go low fat because that's the better option. But unfortunately, we're being steered in the wrong direction, because fat is excellent. It's excellent for so many things. It's excellent for keeping us fuller longer. It digests longer, which keeps us fuller longer. It's good for our gut. It's good for our joints. It's good for our hair, our skin, our eyes. The key, though, is the type of fat. And I think that has been the biggest confusion, is that all fats are bad, so stay away from all fats. And that's not true. We need to pick the healthy fats, and those are the fats that we want to incorporate into our daily nutrition. So fats like nuts, foods like nuts, avocados, even the oils like coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil. They're amazing to use for any kind of cooking. Choosing the right fats is going to go a long way into really helping keep that weight management or to help us lose weight. The biggest deceiving concept around low fat is that they have to put in additives, extra sugar, things like that into the low fat option because it doesn't have that texture and that creaminess that the fat would give it. So for example, if you've got a low fat yogurt, you take a look at the sugar and the additives compared to the full fat yogurt, you'll see a difference. And that's because they're trying to make up for what they've taken out. And so that creaminess, that richness in that food that you enjoy, that's satisfying and is good for us. When I went low fat, I really missed it. I always loved the creamier the better, the fatter the better, but it was, I convinced myself it was bad, so I stopped it. And I really do believe that's part of the reason I had started to gain weight as well, is because it wasn't satisfying. And so I was eating more to try and get that satisfaction. And so you're hungrier, right? Because you're losing that, that sustenance that you're getting from the fat and the slowness in the digestion. So it's high fat though, remember, it's all about quality, not quantity. So one of the nice things with the full dairy option is that it can help support lower your body fat and some weight loss, because there's a component in it called CLA, which is a conjugated linoleic acid. So CLA is inside of the full fat dairy options, and that's really helping to improve your weight loss as well as your insulin sensitivity. So it really stimulates that insulin sensitivity and helps support your blood glucose levels, which is really important. So the CLA component inside of full fat dairy options are really, really good for us. So it's definitely something that I want you ladies, if you're not doing high fat, to choose the quality of high fats and start putting them into your diet. And remember, it's quality, not quantity. So it took me a little while to figure out that, you know, a big handful of nuts is probably not going to be a great choice versus just a palm size of nuts. So tip number 7, eat every 2 to 3 hours. So this goes back to similar to our breakfast time. You got to eat breakfast. Well, it's the same with eating every 2 to 3 hours. How many of you are eating 3 meals a day, eating 6 times a day? Are you eating every 2 to 3 hours? Are you eating, like, what are you typically doing during your day? What does that look like? How often are you eating? Is it best to eat little and often? Should you eat a lot in order to continue to boost your metabolism? It's actually a myth. So we've been looking at controlled studies that have shown that eating smaller and frequent meals versus eating like 2 or 3 meals a day, for example, 0 impact on the calories that you're actually burning. So when they took a look at in the studies that they did where they gave somebody, you know, you eat 2 to 3 times a day, or you eat 2 or 3 meals a day, they actually calculated the calories burned, and there was very minimal difference. The biggest challenge, I think, with a lot of women that eat 2 to 3 hours, who align with the eating every 2 to 3 hours, is that we tend to lose sight of the little and we take advantage of the often. So that little and often that we tend to eat turns out to be a lot and frequent. So we lose sight of how often, and we unintentionally add in more calories in the day. So we don't always eat the right portions as well. So even if you're aligned with the little and often and multiple times a day, are you eating a little bit more than you typically would if you were only eating 3 meals a day? So again, it comes back to, what is your body responding to? How are you feeling after these meals? Are you still hungry? And then are you eating a little bit more because you aren't feeling satisfied? Are you eating 2 to 3 times a day, but you're eating huge portions and are stuffed afterwards? Is that comfortable? So it's really very much about the intuitive eating, what works for you. For me, after significant effort of trying to find, I've done the eat 6 times a day, I've done the eat 2 or 3 every 2-3 hours, I've done that. Now I have settled into a place that I'm very happy, and that tends to be 2 meals a day and 2 snacks, and that is between 10 and 6, and I have feel like that's a really happy place for my bowels, for my gut, for my energy, for my sleep. All of that is part of what you want to be providing nutrition for your body. So you want to have the energy, you want to feel satisfied, you want to sleep well, and you don't want to go to bed with a lot of food, the acid reflux, any kind of like a lot of digestion, a lot of gut activity occurs overnight. That's when your gut is very busy regenerating and repairing. And if you've had a heavy meal or you've eaten too much, it can really create a sluggish gut, and it's not cleansing as much as it should. So eating every 2-3 hours may not be the right option for you. And so your timing around all of your eating is super important based on your needs. So it comes back to the eating breakfast thing as well. So Bev, you say you're brutal because you nibble in between meals all day, but is it brutal? Are you having negative repercussions from that? Are you feeling any digestive issues? Are you feeling any energy issues? Are you feeling weight gain? So if you're like little and often, if you're a grazer, and a lot of women are grazers, and that works for you, and you're maintaining your weight and you're feeling great, and all your blood work is generally looks great, and your digestion and sleep, it's good, right? So it's what you need to do. Sherry, you do notice that whenever you eat carbs, you get hungry faster and crave more carbs, especially if they're processed. Carbs like pasta, bread, any processed packaged carbs, they are going to be burned up quickly and leave you still wanting more. Carbs are fantastic in the right form when you're eating fruit and fiber, any kind of really good source of carbohydrates are something we do need. So the anti-carb, where you just don't have carbs at all, can be restrictive and can create weight gain because you're missing that. So Bev, no, it's not necessarily bad, but you're stagnant. So can you clarify stagnant? Do you mean you don't move much, or you feel sluggish? So if you can clarify that. So yeah, just be aware of that timing for your eating and find something that works for you. And our last tip is back to the food that we're eating, is you've got to focus on your calories. Calories and how much you're eating in your caloric intake is important. That's something that I want you to start to consider ignoring. Yes, we do know that calorie deficit can support weight loss, and we know that calories are part of the whole story. We do know that if we're eating way more calories than we are moving, then the likelihood is that we will gain weight. But there's so many different components about calories. The whole, if you weigh this and you move this and you are this tall and you are this type of body, you need to burn, or you need to eat X amount of calories. That's really miraculous. I don't know of any scientific evidence that shows that if you are 5'4" and you are of medium build and you have a pear-shaped body, or you are exercising 60 minutes a day and this person is exercising 50, how do they figure out the caloric intake of that? So it becomes restrictive, like, oh, I got told that I can only eat 1,200 calories a day, and then you go into your app and you put in all your calories and it's like, oh my god, I ate 1,500. Oh, now I got to get on the treadmill and I got to run for an hour to get rid of that 300 calories. That's what it was doing for me. The calorie counting was obsessing. So it really became such a freeing motion when somebody said, hey, it's not about the calories, so let's just take a step back from the calories. Bev, I'm going to come back to you. One day good, next day crap, weight around middle never changes. So yeah, it could be something that you may need to reassess the snacking, or you could eat a little bit differently. It's really hard to just do an overhaul on your eating style and your eating schedule. So it may just be a matter of pulling one extra snack out of your day that you are having, or it may be about the quality of the snack you may need to change. And I would do that slowly, one at a time. So I'm assuming you eat 3 meals a day, or if you eat 2 meals a day, you're grazing in between those meals. You may have to change the way you graze, or you may have to pull one of those grazing periods out of the day. So if the quality of what you're eating could be an issue, that could be something that you can start to change. Are you drinking enough water? Believe it or not, drinking more water can actually fill your stomach and make you feel fuller. So you may just be thirsty and you're reaching for something to eat instead of grabbing that water and keeping those fluids up. Like, I don't know if any of you guys see me, like I have my big, huge, mason jar of water. I have my cup of nettle tea that I'm drinking. And then I typically have my workout drink that I put together for when I work out. And that's my fluid just for the morning. And then I refill just the water for the afternoon. So I always have water with me. It's really my mainstay. So it has been, when I feel like, oh, you know what, I wouldn't mind grabbing something to eat. Let me grab some water first. And then I go back to what I'm doing. Yeah, some of what you're saying is a money-making business to try certain ways to lose weight. 100%, Sharon. A marketing beast. Eat breakfast. Focus on your calories. These are all mechanisms to try and get you to purchase or to align with a certain eating type of way. And yeah, it's totally, and we buy into it, right? And so this is why I've become so passionate about it, because we forget. It doesn't teach us how to think for ourselves. It teaches us to follow a program without any sort of rationale. And then you're like, well, that worked for a little bit, but now what? Because it's not working. And especially during menopause, one of the biggest challenges we have is our bodies are not in sync. They're not stabilized. They're not in a default pattern. And so this is why we can't really diagnose or confirm perimenopause or menopause, because our hormones are so fluctuating that the one day we get our blood work, our hormones could be stabilized and they could come back saying, oh no, you're not in perimenopause. And then the next day you're all over the place. If you would have got the blood work done that day, you probably would have had a reflection of low estrogen, of low progesterone, whatever that is. And that's why it's really about recognizing what's going on with your body and acting intuitively to that. Especially as we age, we've been around for a while and we've been hanging out with the body pretty much the whole time. We know how our bodies respond to certain things. And Bev, you even saying that you feel crappy some days and you don't others, that's super important, because now you can really start to recognize, well, what is it in those snacks or those meals that I'm eating that are making me not feel great afterwards? Yeah, Bev, you're not very disciplined and you're not a water drink. Yeah, so there's a couple of things. And that's why for those of you who are looking for something that requires accountability and requires a deep dive into your well-being, that's where the Cracking the Menopause Code is available, so you can start to understand how you can make those changes. And then you have the ability to work with me as well from the accountability, and we customize the program to your needs through coaching sessions. And that way you can really start to deep dive, get to the root of your issue, and then start to implement the changes that work specifically for you. And so, yeah, it's a bit of an effort, right? It's not a quick fix. It's a 3-month program that takes a lot of your focus on addressing. I have 4 pillars. It's sleep, stress, nutrition, and movement. And so we really go into each of those areas so we can start to help our body move the Titanic. It just gives it a little bit of a quicker rotation for us, and we can get to some stabilizations a little bit faster. So it really does become about your unique needs. And this is why I'm so passionate about it at this time of our life, because this is our last sort of kick at the can to really be in touch with our bodies. Our bodies are screaming out that we need support, it needs help, it needs structure, it needs change. And that's why we're experiencing all of these symptoms, because we're going through a major change in our lives. And if we can do that with a little bit of support and structure and deep root change, it's going to sail us into 60s and beyond. My bladder can't handle a lot of water. I don't have time to keep going to the washroom. Yeah, so that's something, and I don't drink because I don't always know where washrooms are. That's a really fair point. I work full time. When I'm out in the field, it is definitely a challenge, but I'm fortunate because I do go into offices and I can use the washroom. But it can definitely be a problem if I have a huge territory and I can go up as far as 3 hours. So it can definitely be a challenge. But the key here for you, Sherry, is to pick the time when you can take your fluids. So if you can have pockets of time in your day where you know you have access to facilities, then make sure you're drinking, getting that water through your system so that you are at least trying to get some in during the day without having to drink consistently throughout the day. I'm fortunate I have access to the bathroom all the time, but if you don't, because that's a reality for a lot of women, then I was actually speaking to a woman recently who does not have access to the bathroom regularly. So we were trying to get sources of fluid through her foods, even having a smoothie or fruit, anything that can add extra fluid to your food, as well as soups, that can also help with your fluid intake. But try and pick times during the day where you actually can drink and know that you're going to have access to fluids, and then the bathroom, and then when you don't have access, then you just reduce your fluids. So lastly, focus on calories. Just very quickly, it's important about what you eat, not about the caloric intake of what you eat. So the type of food that you're eating, not the calorie content, is the most important that you need to consider. So for example, if you're having a 100-calorie bowl of popcorn, or you're having a pack of pretzels, it's 100 calories, that nutritional value is going to be significantly different than a boiled egg or anything that has fiber or protein. Those 100 calories are going to be very different, and how your body processes it will be very different. And if you're looking at pretzels, then that's refined carbs, which is going to raise your blood glucose levels and will leave you hungry and potentially lead you to more snacking, versus a boiled egg, which is going to have a high protein, which is going to be slowly digested and absorbed and not going to spike your blood glucose levels or your insulin reaction, and will keep you feeling more satisfied. So eating a bowl of popcorn is great because the calories are limited, but the nutritional value is not there. And remember, we talked about this in intuitive eating, that if we don't have the nutritional value there, our body's going to go, I need more. You need to keep giving me a little bit more because what you just fed me didn't cut it. And so popcorn's great, but it's not fulfilling anything. So if you're eating popcorn, that can be a challenge. So that's it, ladies. Yep, go Sherry. Thanks so much for joining us. Really, it's about taking a look at the suggestion, whatever that may be, and then saying, how is this going to apply to me? Will my body like that? Can I stick to that? Will this derail me? Will this be a positive thing for me? Is this going to really make a difference? It's really about food quality versus food quantity. And keep in mind that what may work for someone else is very, very possible is not going to work for you. And so that's why you need to take a look at avoiding the diets and looking at, I don't even want to say, I guess, program, method, looking at the change in your life that you're going to be able to sustain, and being kind to yourself, and knowing that if you don't do great one day, then you just try again the next. So thanks, ladies. The best method for you is the one that you can stick to, the one that's going to make you feel full, satisfied, healthy, and good in your body. So I'll leave you with that. As always, if you have any questions and if you have any comments, please don't hesitate to put them in below. I always come back and check to see if anyone has anything they want to share. If you're going to be watching this on the replay, just please type replay. And yeah, and one last thing, if you are watching this, ladies, if you haven't seen my survey post, if you're interested in doing a survey for me, I would love if you could please go to the post and let me know that you'll do the survey. I'm just gathering information about you guys so that I can really hone in and make sure I continue to share some really good quality information for you. So again, I appreciate your time. Wonderful to see you. Thanks so much for your engagement. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you in the group. Bye now.